Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to an update video on the channel. You probably won't get many more picturesque updates than this on this channel for a long time. But my word, it's been a busy day of action for Wolverhampton Wanderers. I'll try my best to summarise this as much as I can. Of course, as you can tell, I'm on holiday at the moment, so I'm hoping that the many beers that I've had on this all-inclusive trip doesn't get in the way of my in my opinion, normal, sensible takes on what's happening. And it's been a gorgeous day today, but very busy. Between the beers, I've had to check my phone to see the news, and it's been pretty much non-stop today. And it's literally as I was about to click record, there was more news popping up. So let's try and get into it as fast as I can. As always, let's try and smash 400 likes on today's video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's start off with the big story, Jorgen Strand Larsen. Now, I spoke about Jorgen, I think, on my last update video. It's gained a little bit more traction, probably not as much as change as is being made out, but it's certainly a little bit more worrying for Wolves fans because it looks like Newcastle are a lot more serious about their potential approach for Jorgen. Now, Liam Keane of the Express and Star and Nathan Judah, they did their podcast. There has been more updates on that today. One of those is that Jorgen, although he's not actively looking to leave Wolves, there is an agreement in place on personal terms, obviously more than likely between his agent and Newcastle United if they were to strike up a deal with Wolves. Now, they're still pushing to sign Jorgen before the deadline. It's thought that although Wolves, again, don't really actively want to sell Jorgen Strand Larsen, it's probably going to take a package of nearly £60 million to sanction this deal. And it sounds like Newcastle probably aren't actually far away from doing that. Now, it's a weird one for me. I think £60 million, I would probably take it. However, I think the biggest issue and the biggest reason why Wolves fans won't warm to this deal and won't warm to this sale is because Fosun and Wolves have failed to attract sufficient replacements time after time, and that's why Wolves fans won't warm to this deal. I think Jorgen Strand Larsen is a talented footballer. Was last season's tally of goals and performances his ceiling at Wolves? I don't know, but for me, if you get an offer of £60 million for a player that you spent just about 25 million on the year before, I think a lot of football clubs will take it. But this is Wolverhampton Wanderers who have failed to sign these quality replacements time after time. We already need one or two forwards, especially when Fabio goes, who we'll talk about in a minute. You sell your best number 9, your only number 9 that's fit and is capable to play at a solid Premier League level currently. You're potentially cooking up a recipe for disaster, so it's a big risk for Wolves, but remains to be seen what happens. It sounds like it could be a deal there, but you know, you could bring in easily another couple of £30 million strikers, but where are you going to find that this late in the window? That's the big issue right now. Let's maybe go on a little bit more of a positive note. Let's look at an incoming transfer. It looks like it could be a potential deal on the cards for Wolves to bring in Ladislav Cretchi from Girona. Left-footed centre-back, has played in central midfield as well, but stories in Spain seem to think this one seems quite advanced at the moment. Coming in from Girona, his release clause is around €30 million. It sounds like Wolves may well trigger that for the Czech Republic international. For me, I think it kills two birds with one stone, really. Midfield option, defensive option, which Wolves need. Seems like a really solid player on the ball as well. If you actually look at his goal-scoring record in Czech Republic, a fantastic return for a player that's not actually a forward. Was the penalty taker in Czech Republic as well. Injury record is a little bit sketchy, but obviously we can talk about and look into that a little bit more in the future as well if needs be. But it looks like this one may well be happening. But for me, it puts question marks over the likes of Totti Gomez. Vitor wanted a backup to Totti, but ultimately, are you going to be spending €30 million or £30 million nearly on someone that's not going to be starting football matches, and you've just given Totti Gomez the armband? It's a weird situation, but again, like I said, maybe a little bit like Leander Dendoncker, hopefully a little bit better than Leander, no disrespect, but a player that can fill both roles as a defensive midfielder and a centre-back could be something decent for Wolves. But again, that only broke late last night, and today it's really picked up some traction, to be fair. Yeah, Cretchi to Wolves may well be happening. Fabio Silva, who I mentioned earlier on, he's moved to Borussia Dortmund, looks like it's back on as well. Some reputable sources today, again reiterating the fact that there is a personal terms agreement between Borussia Dortmund and Wolves. It's just the two clubs now actively looking for some sort of agreement. Fabio's still in training, still travelling with the squad. I thought maybe there was an opportunity that, worst case scenario, he would be reintegrated into the first team squad. But we all know that ship has sailed now. Fabio Silva to Borussia Dortmund looks like it's going to be a matter of time. And again, another player that is probably going to be bringing in over £20 million worth of money for Wolves to potentially reinvest in the forward area. Another forward who may well be on his way is Hwang. Again, I mentioned him on the last video. Crystal Palace actively now looking to bring him in as well. They've put on the table a loan offer of around £1 million loan fee with a £12 million pound loan option, which Wolves do not want to accept at the moment. They want an obligation to buy, obviously, so they know what's going on next season, but also want the time to find a replacement before the window shuts on September the 1st. So Fabio Silva and Hwang look like they're more likely at the moment, in my opinion, to leave than Jorgen Strand Larsen. One move as well that was mentioned again, Mark Casado, who I mentioned on the last transfer video. This one I think now looks unlikely for me with how serious the potential signing of Cretchi looks. But it still said Wolves, according to some journalists, are the team interested or pushing the most to sign the Barcelona midfielder Mark Casado. But again, saying that, €30 million, that's not far away from what we're going to be paying for Cretchi. But the issue is with Casado, doesn't necessarily want to leave Barcelona, and we know how that stung Wolves previously as well. Another one coming in from France for PSG, Carlos Soler, the 28-year-old attacking midfielder. You'll remember him potentially playing for West Ham United, had a fairly decent spell there. Very, very likely to leave the French club this window. Wolves, one of the teams keeping tabs on the situation at the moment. Brighton also interested. Another couple of other clubs. I've seen Ajax, them linked as well. So Carlos Soler, attacking midfielder, perhaps could fill the place that Vitor Pereira wants in the team as well. And just as I was about to click record as well, Wolves are interested again in another player, attacking midfielder Mohamed Javad Hossein-Jad, a 22-year-old Iranian player. However, currently playing in Russia at the moment for Dinamo Makhala, I should say. Sorry. Again, like I mentioned before, the whole deal with signing players from Russia, extremely difficult deals to sanction. So, in my opinion, unlikely. As is the Casado deal, in my opinion, unlikely. Probably as is the Carlos Soler deal. Frustrating in the three outgoings that I've mentioned today, in my opinion. Probably the three most likely deals to happen out of this video. Now, I'm just having a quick look because my phone has been non-stop today to see if anything else has happened, but nothing yet. But guys, I fully urge you to follow us on the socials at Talking Wolves everywhere, and keep tabs on the YouTube as well, perhaps, because I think deals will happen. And going into this final sort of 10 days or so on the window, it's going a little bit crazy, especially if big deals like this potential Jorgen Strand Larsen one happen. It could be a really, really busy end to the window for Wolverhampton Wanderers. And very quickly, I'll finish on, because I know a few people ask me, there's a rumour going around about a potential sale of the club, or Fosun putting Wolves up for sale. As far as I'm aware, I've not heard anything to suggest that Wolves are close to a sale. That's not to say that I think Fosun would sell. I think if the money was right, I think Fosun would sell the football club. But like Jeff Shee mentioned on the podcast that he did in the summer, they value themselves close to what Crystal Palace are valued at, which is around the £400 million mark. So unless someone comes close to that valuation, I can't see it happening. But as far as I'm aware right now, there's nothing close. I'm not going to say I'd love to be wrong, but I think it would be sort of make sense. But I think there's so many bolt-ons that Wolves have at the moment, which will make this a very complicated and difficult sale to do. So it's not anything that's going to happen overnight anyway. But like I said, nothing reputable, nothing too much out there in regards to a potential sale of Wolves at the moment. But as you can see, sweating here in Mallorca, so I best go and maybe have another beer and dip in the pool. But guys, as always, let me know your thoughts on today's news. Not always positive, but I think, you know, the most important thing for us as fans is to you know, support the boys that are going to be on the pitch, you know, and just enjoy the bumpy ride. You know, it's going to be an interesting end to the window. Could be frustrating, could be exciting, but like I said before, it's never straightforward. It's never easy being a Wolves fan anyway. But look after yourselves, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening and your day, and I'll catch you on the next one.